So now that we understand the building blocks, we can finally talk about research paradigms. A research paradigm is like a complete package. So it combines beliefs about reality, knowledge, values, research methods into one overall framework. So think of paradigms as different lenses through which researchers view the world. Different lenses helps us see different things. And the major paradigms you need to know, I think they are around 7 or 6. Let's go and see. So we have positivism, post-positivism, interpretivism, constructivism, pragmatism, critical realism. Then we have transformative or participatory approaches. So without much ado, let's go straight into them. Positivism, which is all about the search for objective truth. Objective truth. So positivism is probably the easiest paradigm to understand. Positivists, people who use positivism, positivists believe that there is an objective reality and it exists independently of us, and we can discover it through careful observation and measurement. Think about scientists studying gravity. Gravity does not change based on someone's opinion. If you don't believe gravity doesn't exist, it's up to you. You can go and jump from a story building. The positives approach social research in a similar way. They ask this question: what can be measured? What patterns can be found? What causes what? So they love things like surveys, experiments, statistics, numerical data. So they are seeking for objective truth. An example is, suppose you want to know whether a new study technique improves exam scores. A positivist researcher might divide students into two groups, give one group the technique, measure exam scores, then compare the results statistically. And the goal is to discover whether the technique causes improvement. So you notice the focus here. The focus is on measurement, objectivity, numbers, evidence. That is positivism. It's all about what can be measured. Then we move to the next paradigm, post-positivism, where they also deal with objective reality but with a sort of humility. So post-positivism developed because researchers realized something important. They realized that human beings are imperfect and that researchers have biases and participants also have biases as well. So measurement tools have limitations. That's another thing they've also realized. So while reality may exist independently or objectively, our understanding of it will never be perfect. So a post-positivist says something like, reality exists, but we can only get close to understanding it. Think of it like trying to view a mountain through a fog. The mountain exists, but your view is not clear or perfect. That's post-positivism. So these researchers still use surveys, experiments, statistical analysis, but they openly acknowledge limitations and potential bias. Now, the next paradigm, interpretivism, which is all about understanding human meaning. So this is a different way of thinking. Interpretivists believe human beings are not like rocks or planets. People create meaning. People interpret experiences. People see the world differently. Therefore, reality is largely subjective. Instead of asking what is the objective truth, interpretivists ask, what does this experience mean to people? Example, imagine researching chronic illness. A positivist might measure pain scores, hospital visits, medication usage, and all that. An interpretivist might ask, what is it like to live with chronic pain every day? You see the difference? One person measures and one person understands. So interpretivists commonly use interviews, observations, focus groups, case studies. Their goal is deep understanding rather than universal laws. Then let's move to the next paradigm, which is constructivism, which is all about the fact that reality is constructed. So constructivism is closely related to interpretivism. Constructivists believe reality is created through human interactions. So people build meaning together. For example, what counts as beauty? What counts as success? What counts as leadership? These ideas are not fixed physical objects. They are socially constructed. Different cultures may define them differently. Different generations may define them differently. So constructivists are interested in understanding how those meanings are created. Then we move to pragmatism, which is all about what works. What works. So this is one of the most practical paradigms. Pragmatism. Pragmatists are not obsessed with philosophical debates. Their main concern is what approach best solves the problem. They focus on usefulness. So if interviews help answer the question, they use interviews. If surveys help answer the question, they use surveys. If both are needed, they use both. So pragmatists often use mixed methods research. Example, suppose a school introduces a new teaching method. A pragmatist may ask, did grades improve? That is quantitative, but they may also ask, how did students feel about the method? And that is qualitative. By combining both, they could get a fuller picture. So pragmatists care less about philosophical purity and more about practical solutions. Now let's move on to critical realism, which is all about looking beneath the surface. And critical realism is often misunderstood, but critical realists believe that reality exists. But many important causes are hidden beneath the surface. So think about an iceberg. The small visible part sits above the water. The much larger part sits below the water. So critical realists believe social life works similarly. Example, suppose many students are dropping out of school. The visible fact is the dropout rate, right? But critical realists ask, what is happening underneath all that? Is it poverty, family pressure, school policies, or social inequality? They look for hidden mechanisms causing observable events. This makes critical realism especially useful when studying complex social issues. Now let's move to the last paradigm, which is transformative or participatory paradigms. So these paradigms focus strongly on social change. Researchers working in these traditions often study inequality, discrimination, marginalized groups, social justice issues. Their goal is not only the understanding of the world, the goal is improving it. So researchers often work alongside participants rather than studying them from a distance. Research becomes a tool for empowerment and change that is transformative. So that is all the paradigms. But here's another important thing. How do paradigms influence every research decision? Research paradigms affect almost everything in your project. Let's see a simple way how. For example, a positivist asks, does social media usage affect academic performance? An interpretivist asks, how do students experience social media's influence on their studies? It's the same topic, but different question and different worldview. So, paradigms affect your research questions. They can also affect your data collection. A positivist might use surveys, experiments, and numerical measures. An interpretivist might use interviews, observations, and narratives for data collection. And a pragmatist might use both. Again, paradigms affect your data analysis. A positivist might use statistical analysis. An interpretivist might use thematic analysis. A critical realist looks for deeper patterns and underlying causes. What of findings? Paradigms also affect findings. Positivist findings often sound like students who study 2 hours daily scored 15% higher. And interpretivist findings often sound something like students describe studying as emotionally exhausting but personally meaningful. Different kinds of knowledge and different goals, right? So that is how research paradigms influence your entire project.